Alright, let's do it quick and easy. My air conditioner is broken, I'm hot. Random CDs. I just pulled these out, I haven't even looked at them. This is Syd Barrett. Syd Barrett was the singer, creator, guitarist of Pink Floyd before Pink Floyd became relatively famous. I mean, I think the album that he did with them hit the charts in the UK. It was called Piper at the Gates of Dawn. Basically did one album with them and had a few too many acid trips and wasn't himself anymore. He made a couple albums by himself. This one's called, and it's got the water damage. This one's called just Barrett, and he had another one called The Madcap Laughs. It's got a psychedelic poppy sound to it. The other one that's called The Madcap Laughs also has a psychedelic poppy sound to it. It's not a bad album. Very listenable. This comes from a set. This is Cab Calloway. He was a singer from the 40s, 50s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. This is one of the greatest albums of all time. Bob Dylan, Highway 61 Revisited. This is one of the first albums. The one he had before this was Bringing It Back Home, but this is one of the first albums when he started going electronic, when he was getting a little less folky, although there's a very long and probably one of the greatest songs of all time at the end there, Desolation Row. That's a folk song, a little over 10 minutes long. It's one of my favorite songs of all time. This is one of my favorite albums of all time. If I was to make a top 10, this would be in there. It just, it has the creativity that he had back in those days. He's a very creative artist, and he lost a lot of that through the years, even though a lot of it was still good. Mongo Santamera, Fuego, I guess the cover got damaged. I remember this album being okay. It's mostly just Latin jazz and, having some stuff that you could dance to on it. Wayne Shorter, Adam's Apple. This one's a 4-piece. This one's really good, but it was a little bit later in his Blue Note career. Blue Note is a record label that sponsored a lot of these jazz musicians in the 60s and early 70s, maybe even in the late 50s, but in the 60s they came out with the premier stuff. This particular album, the first song on it, Adam's Apple, is just a really catchy song. It doesn't play a lot of notes, doesn't really go anywhere. It's just a catchy type thing that they did, and this one has the song Footprints on it, written by Wayne Shorter, but it became very, very popularized by the piano player on this album, Herbie Hancock. It became a staple of his that he played a lot. This is a band I listened to in high school. This was super popular, Sublime. I don't listen to it much anymore. Kind of a guilty pleasure, I guess you could say, but at the same time, I understand from a sensibility of being young why I listen to this. But nowadays it really doesn't do anything for me. Well, I'm pulling out a lot of gems here. This is the best rap album of all time. Genius, Liquid Swords, Jizza. It's got a lot of, if you ever seen the movie Shogun Assassin, it's got a lot of cuts from that. It's just really, really inspired, really good. Just everything about it works. Just everything about it works. I could sing it backwards and forwards. I don't know any rap hip-hop album more than I know that one. This one I'm glad to find because I don't think it's in there. Yeah, it's got a book on CD, the Israel Lobby, in there. I can't pronounce this, K. Konosko, and this, I'm not going to try to say this guy's name, I'll butcher it. It sounds a lot like Jimmy Bosch's singer, but that's one of my favorite salsa songs of all time. K. Nesokio. I haven't heard that song in probably 5 or 6 years, but it's one of my favorites. I need to get back to it. Henry Fayol. This is Spanish music. It's salsa, but it's heavy tres, which is a 12-string Puerto Rican guitar. Aerosmith Gold. I like Aerosmith. I probably bought this at Goodwill for $1 or $2, and it's got 2 discs. I've got all their albums, or most of their albums on CD. Had them at one point in time. Maybe after the flood, I've lost a lot of them. But Aerosmith is a guilty pleasure band of mine. I can look on here. This has got "Let the Music Do the Talking," the very first song on the very first side, which was a famous song that became famous by Joe Perry doing it. Joe Perry was Aerosmith's guitarist when he did the Joe Perry project, his solo project. He took that song and made it his own and made it a popular song. I'm looking on here, it's got a lot of things on here that you don't see very often, like My Fist, Your Face, Heart's Done Time, Angel. Hangman Jury, I need to take a listen to this. Monkey on My Back, it's got a lot of songs on here that are kind of just B-side songs that are still very good. Of course, it's got all the crappy stuff on here, like Amazing, Crying, Crazy, all that popular stuff in the 90s that they made those obscene music videos to. This is a salsa CD. I can look through here and tell the CD's not in here. It's some kind of compilation. I remember this had some good stuff on it, had some Fania stuff on it before the Fania stuff came back out. I'm looking on here, it just has some decent stuff. It was a 3-disc set. It's really hard for me to read. I don't understand why anybody could think anybody could read that, but maybe on the disc itself or on the case itself, the big case that it came in, you could read it more. Somebody, it looks like I wrote some numbers down on this. Yep, I wrote some numbers down on this. Or grease pencil. I bought this when I was in Houston from a dance company that was selling it, trying to make money any way they could. I don't want to talk too much about the salsa stuff in one of these videos. I need to make my own. I need to make a video just specifically catering to Latin music. This has got some of the best stuff there is on there, but I'm not going to read it off right here. Here's another Latin CD. I can't read the name of it. Tres de Café Dos de Azúcar. Azúcar means it's something to do with coffee, and on the cover they're drinking coffee. That's Johnny Pacheco. That's Pete Conde Rodriguez. The very first song on here, Primoroso Cantar. That's one of the best songs of all times. Primoroso Cantar. The rest of the CD is really good, but that very first song on there is one of my favorite Latin songs of all time. Sounds really good. It's very tres heavy stuff. Most salsa I've mentioned that song mentioned that term tres on this video a couple times already. That particular CD is tres heavy. A couple of other ones are tres heavy. Most salsa is done with the piano and no tres whatsoever. This is Chants of India, Ravi Shankar. For whatever reason, I'm forgetting what Ravi Shankar, what instrument he plays. I remember listening to it and thinking it was good, good ambience type deal. This is Metal, Blind Guardian. They're pretty good. You know, I should have listened to a lot more of them than I probably. You know, I downloaded, I listened to it, and it's good. If you played a random song by them, I probably wouldn't be able to place it. But I do like Blind Guardian. I do like their album covers a lot. I like what, you know, kind of what they represent. Look at that. That's a very nice album cover. And what is the name of this one? A Twist in the Myth. I guarantee you this is a good CD. Planet Waves. This is a Bob Dylan album that he did with the band. The band is a band that's kind of a folky type deal that Bob Dylan produced and found. It's got the famous guy Levon Helm, which is the drummer. He sings a lot of their songs, and that individual is, you know, he's famous for being in a lot of movies. I think there's still a documentary, not a documentary on the band, but on Netflix there's a video of, it's called The Last Waltz, and it's their last concert, and it's pretty good. They're a decent band. But anyway, Planet Waves, it gets lumped in with Bob Dylan's kind of crappy stuff, because he purposely made a few albums crap because he was sick of what the media and what his fans were doing, and this kind of gets lumped in there with it. But this is not one that he purposely made to be crap. This is a really good album. It's very simplistic. A lot of Bob Dylan, especially, you know, after he did his folk stuff and after he kind of got into the electronic air and moved into whatever he was doing, it kind of turned into pop music. But this particular album is really good. It may be a nostalgic feeling. My parents listened to Bob Dylan a lot, and I remember this album from way back in the day. I mean, when I was, you know, my age was a single digit. Some kind of gospel album I had. And then on here, it's got a video. For whatever reason, it's got a DVD. I was just using this to carry around a DVD of salsa dance stuff. So let me upload this real quick. Thank you. Bye.